This just in, you guys. Fulton County DA Fani Willis caught on body camera footage showing up to her daughter's arrest on the side of the road, guys. But even more outrageous than this, Fani Willis shows up with her supposedly former lover, Nathan Wade. I know, guys, I know, they lied to us. Now, I want you guys to watch this video. I want you to watch this body cam footage. I want you guys to let me know if you think that these two are really just friends.
Mom, Dad, what's it?
Just a friend, yeah.
Okay.
Connie, nice to meet you.
So, Corporal Clark.
Nice to meet you. What?
So, apparently,
Nice to meet you.
apparently her license is suspended.
Nice to meet you. Okay.
For something. Doesn't tell us what for or why or where, or that's something she's going to have to call DMV and find out. Okay. Probably what happened, she had a speeding ticket, some kind of traffic infraction, never went to court, didn't take care of it. Okay. That's the best guess. So, she's gone over to Fayette County Jail, which is right in the Fayetteville Square. It's 145 Johnson Avenue. Yeah. Normally, I would say a couple hours is the process. It just depends on how busy they are and like that, okay? The driving on the suspended's basically a traffic citation. She's got to have her fingerprints done and picture taken, then she can make her bond.
Now, we'll get to the whole Nathan Wade and Fani Willis controversy in just a little bit. But first, I just want to voice this out, okay? Fani Willis's daughter is a grown adult, right? So why are the cops explaining anything to her parents, or rather one parent and her friend? Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys the story on Fani Willis's daughter getting arrested later on too, okay? But I will say now, drunk, pregnant, and stupid is not a good way to go through life. I'm just saying here. You know what I'm saying, guys? Now, speaking of, just really, how stupid does Fani Willis think that the people of Fulton County are to just lie and say that Nathan Wade is just a friend? A friend who she brought to the arrest of her daughter? Megyn Kelly talked about it with her online personality, Glenn Greenwald. Check it out.
There they are. Yes, indeed. By the time Willis and Wade pulled up, the daughter was already en route to the county jail. I think this is fascinating. Look, I know they could still be friends. I don't drive around with my male friends. And when a kid got in trouble, I certainly would not be, these two are still together. That's my strong opinion. And they never weren't together. They've been together the whole time. I believe it's yet another incident of perjury for them to have gotten up there and falsely claimed that they hadn't started this affair back in 2019, long before she brought him in. And they lied when they said they had broken up because they're running around together, putting out fires with the daughter, super casual in the car. That's my take, Glenn. What do you make of the whole thing?
Megyn, have you ever seen in all your time as a lawyer or as a journalist a prosecution blow up in the face of a district attorney more than this one? The whole proceeding has been a joke. When she would go on the stand and she would be asked about the vacations they took together and one of them paid, and she would say, oh no, we split the charges. Well, where's the proof of that? Oh, I have a ton of cash in my house. I don't know if you know this, but Black people are taught to have cash in their house, so I paid him in cash. The whole thing has been a joke from the start. Everyone understands that she's been lying. And I think this goes back to what we were just talking about in New York too with Alvin Bragg, which is when you have these cities that have one party rule and you have all this power in the hands of, very powerful people. Being a prosecutor is a very powerful position. The district attorney, there are no limits on it. And they begin to think that they can do whatever they want without consequence.
Guys, he makes a very good point there. These people, they're Democrats, by the way. They're able to do whatever they want to do without any kind of consequences because they've just gotten used to having just so much power consolidated into their Democratic Party. You know what I mean? And as for the Fani Willis, Nathan Wade duo, all I'm going to say is this. Somebody got laid, another person got paid, and it was the taxpayers that got played. I mean, we have actual body cam footage of Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis showing up to the scene of her daughter's recent arrest with prosecutor/lover Nathan Wade long after the pair said that they had ended their controversial affair. Fani Willis's daughter, Kinaya Willis, 25 years old again, a full-grown adult, was pulled over late last month for driving using a cell phone and then arrested for driving on a suspended license. Interestingly as well, from the footage, the cop asked if Fani Willis and Nathan Wade were Kiana's parents, but the boss woman DA told her high-profile lover was just a friend. Now, this was after the couple came under fire for their romance, meanwhile prosecuting former President Donald Trump for election interference in Georgia. They've both also separately testified that the affair ended last year. Now, I don't know how you guys are with your exes, but the two two seem to have arrived pretty quickly together. The two lawyers pulled up in a black Ford SUV after Kinaya had already been taken to the Fulton County Jail and stayed on scene for about 5 minutes. At one point, Fani Willis gave the police officers her driver's license and asked them not to put her address in the report, with one cop saying her request was for obvious reasons, probably referring to her high-profile position. After that, the video showed Fani Willis leaving the scene in her daughter's silver Nissan Altima. Meanwhile, Nathan Wade drove away in the car that they arrived in. Now, a lot of people are already making fun of her for driving a 2010 Nissan Altima, but I mean, what a mess, guys, right? Now, zooming in on the two, it's been a hot minute since they've been in the media spotlight. Fani Willis and Nathan Wade were under a lot of judicial and media scrutiny earlier this year for their secret relationship, which they claimed began months after Fani Willis brought Nathan Wade onto the Donald Trump case. But looking at this body cam footage of the two together, it just kind of makes me doubt even that. And the same with former President Donald Trump and his co-defendants in the Georgia election interference case. Their team has been seeking to boot Fani Willis from prosecuting the case for alleged misconduct linked to her and Fani Wade's liaison. The initial request to disqualify Fani Willis and Nathan Wade was rejected by Fulton County Judge Scott McAfee. So instead, the judge ruled Fani Willis could remain on the case as long as Nathan Wade stepped down, which he did the same day that the decision came out. But Donald Trump's team is appealing that decision. Also, the trial date has not yet been set for the Georgia case against Donald Trump, which is on hold while he appeals seeking to disqualify Fani Willis. More on that a little bit later. I know. The whole thing is just one big, huge mess, but if you ask me, guys, they brought it on themselves. But hey, we need to talk about these things because we just can't let these guys get away with exploiting the American people like that. You know what I'm saying? And this is why we hold power to account right here on the channel, guys. Hit the subscribe button, tap the notification bell. That way you guys are one with us to help us fight to get this information out to like-minded people. Appreciate you guys. Okay, so more on Kinaya Willis, the daughter of Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, who was arrested for allegedly driving with a suspended license. Apparently, Kinaya was pulled over in Tyrone, Georgia on August 24th for driving using a cell phone when police discovered that she also had a revoked driver's license. I can only imagine how high her car insurance rates are going to be going up after this one. But she told the police officer that she had been using her cell phone due to her mother calling her related to her pregnancy. After that, Fani Willis's daughter claimed that she was unaware that her license had been revoked since May 13th, also for allegedly driving while it was suspended. From there, Kinaya was booked into the Fayette County Jail on a misdemeanor charge of driving with a revoked or even suspended license. She also got her mugshot taken at the facility, which is a 30-minute drive south of her mom's Atlanta office before being released. The arraignment for Kinaya is scheduled in the Tyrone Municipal Court and faces a minimum of 2 days in jail, a $500 fine, and a 6-month extension of the suspension if convicted. So it looks like Fani Willis is going to have her hands full getting her daughter out of this mess here. It makes you wonder if she's even going to have time in her busy schedule to continue her very, very sketchy case against former President Donald Trump. District Attorney Fani Willis had high hopes to take Trump to trial before the November election, but with the latest court decision on her scandalous relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade, we'd probably be celebrating Donald Trump's victory before the case sees any light of day, if at all, in court. A decision by Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee not to disqualify her from the case is now on appeal, with that hearing slated for early December. And until then, McAfee can take no action in the electioneering against Donald Trump, including taking any time this summer to decide how the Supreme Court's decision in the presidential immunity and obstruction of official proceedings matters will impact Fani Willis's case. Now, with these recent discoveries about Nathan Wade and Fani Willis, I'd be surprised to see if she doesn't end up getting disqualified together. John Malcolm, a former federal prosecutor in Atlanta, described it this way: the recent court order from the Court of Appeals sent two signals. First, the court believes that the issues that have been raised, which include not only the payments made to Nathan Wade and her relationship with him, but also her ill-advised speech from a church pulpit essentially calling the defendants racist, are substantial and they're serious. That last part that he was referring to, a speech made by Fani Willis at an Atlanta church in January, which she claimed that she and Willis were being scrutinized because of their race, because they're black, which is something that Judge Scott McAfee scolded in the court order. He said Fani Willis's racially charged rhetoric of playing the race card was legally improper. That's a nice way of saying that it was illegal. Fani Willis's office asked for Trump appeal to be tossed out. They tried to argue that the issue of her and Nathan Wade's former romance is now moot since he was forced to resign on March 10th. But according to Donald Trump's lawyer, Steve Sado, Fani Willis is a deeply conflicted district attorney. He pointed out that Judge Scott McAfee, who allowed Fani Willis to remain on the case on the condition that Wade step down, and the appeals court both granted Donald Trump the right to appeal before the start of the trial because they had already determined that these issues are critical. Meaning, if the issue of Fani Willis's disqualification isn't resolved by the appeals court, it could fatally infect all subsequent proceedings, all at great wasted time and expense to the courts, the parties, and the taxpayers. And so this is why he's calling Fani Willis's motion to dismiss the appeal a calculated, disingenuous attempt to mislead this court. But more recently, former President Donald Trump's legal team filed a reply brief to the Georgia Court of Appeals in his case to disqualify Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. According to Steve Sado's statement, the brief makes clear DA Fani Willis should be disqualified and the case dismissed because her proven false, incendiary racial rhetoric in the church speech was calculated by heightened public condemnation and therefore prejudice the defendants in the eyes of the potential jurors. Such misconduct violated the Georgia rules of professional conduct. Therefore, President Donald Trump again calls for dismissal and her removal. And if you look at what Willis and the Fulton County DA's office are trying to pin on Donald Trump, you can see why some critics are calling it lawfare and election interference. Donald Trump was indicted in August of 2023, along with 18 other co-defendants stemming from the years-long criminal investigation led by Fani Willis and state prosecutors in Georgia into his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election in the state. The charges include violating Georgia RICO or Racketeering Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer, conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer, conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree, conspiracy to commit false statements in writings, conspiracy to commit filing false documents, conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree, and filing false documents. Yeah, so anyway, since then, Donald Trump's team has slowly but surely chipped away at the case. They succeeded in March as Judge Scott McAfee dismissed 6 of the charges and said that the state failed to allege sufficient detail for 6 counts of solicitation, a violation of oath by public officer. Not to mention the bid to disqualify Fani Willis from the case because of her improper affair with Nathan Wade, who she hired to help prosecute the case in November 2021, basically funneling hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxpayer money into the couple's vacations, dinners, and shopping trips. As Judge Scott McAfee concluded in his ruling, the established record now highlights a significant appearance of impropriety that infects the current structure of the prosecution team, an appearance that must be removed through the state's selection of one of 2 options. Willis and her whole office can choose to step aside, or Wade can withdraw from the case. So Wade subsequently resigned from his post as the special prosecutor. But now the question is, are the 2 still in a relationship? Well, there's no arguing with the body cam footage, and it clearly showed that the 2 were together, showing up when Fani Willis's daughter got arrested. All right, so let's get back to the chaos that's happening in Fulton County, shall we?
Now, in response, Copeland told Judge Glanville, quote, "I have never been truthful a day in my life. I don't comprehend none of this stuff that's going on." The meeting ended with Copeland finally agreeing to testify. Now, the trial was placed on hold yesterday until another judge decides if Judge Glanville can stay on the case. We'll be watching for that development.
Honestly, guys, the bigger news for me here is how they put the trial on hold, because they're finally having another judge decide whether Glanville can stay on instead of him having the power to deny motions of recusal for him as the judge. That's the biggest news to me, because with this and the Fani Willis trial against former President Donald Trump, people are starting to wonder if they need to have all of Fulton County DA and the judges removed. People are starting to think that the judge doesn't even know the law. And now everything's coming to a head on the 100th day of the Young Thug YSL trial in Fulton County, with the court being halted indefinitely. So the backdrop is Young Thug's trial was started back on November 27, 2023, and has been quite the saga with endless testimony, witness testimony, and a fair share of lawyer arguments. The whole issue started when Kenneth Copeland, who was supposed to testify for the prosecution, initially refused and ended up spending a weekend in jail for contempt. This led to a secretive ex parte meeting in the judge's chambers on June 10th, right before Copeland testified. When when Young Thug's lead attorney Brian Steele confronted Judge Glanville about this meeting and refused to say who tipped him off about it, he too was slapped with a contempt order. Initially, Judge Glanville planned to make him spend 10 weekends in jail, but the Georgia Supreme Court stepped in and put a stay on that order. Special thanks to Ashley Merchant for that one. Once the details of the ex parte meeting leaked, Brian Steele and a few other defense attorneys, they tried to get Judge Glanville kicked off the case. But Glanville just dismissed these attempts and denied all the motions for recusal that they filed. Young Thug's co-defendant, DeMonte Kendrick, made a similar move through an emergency motion, but the appellate court sent it back, basically saying that Kendrick had to follow proper procedures. Then, the Friday before the indefinite hold was announced, Judge Glanville told everyone they would discuss the transcript of the ex parte meeting on the following Monday. This meeting was initially supposed to be private, but as of Monday, Glanville used case law to defend his actions in the ex parte meeting and described it as proper. He informed prosecutors and the defense lawyers that he would be releasing the complete transcript from the meeting for them to use as they see fit and before any further examination of witness Copeland. And then Steele announced that another judge would look into a motion to remove Glanville from the case filed by Kendrick's lawyer. Now, this is after Judge Glanville had already denied 3 similar motions. So court is now on pause until further decisions are made, with no hearing scheduled yet. Witness testimony is set to resume after the holiday on July 8th, but we'll see. In a separate but related note, other defendants connected to Young Thug appeared in a separate courtroom in front of Fulton County Superior Court Judge Alfred Dempsey. 5 of those defendants rejected plea deals offered by the state and requested trial dates. So these defendants are still waiting for a chance to review the deals that were offered to them. All right, so according to the Georgia Code of Judicial Conduct, judges shall not initiate, permit, or consider ex parte communications or consider other communications made to them outside the presence of the parties or their lawyers concerning a pending proceeding or impending matter, subject to the following exceptions. Now, it also states when a meeting does not deal with substantive matters, the judge must promptly notify all other parties of the substance of the ex parte communication and gives the parties an opportunity to respond. And as far as I know, it's illegal for a judge to meet with a sworn witness without a defense present, no matter what Glanville is saying to defend his alleged misconduct. But sure enough, the Atlanta legal community has rallied behind defense attorney Brian Steele, who Glanville ordered arrested. Dozens of criminal defense attorneys arrived at the courthouse to show their support, and Ashley Merchant, who chairs the state's Criminal Defense Attorney Association, she defended Steele before Glanville. Merchant told Glanville he had a duty to inform defense counsels that there were ex parte communications being made, and that the main crux of Steele's argument was that he should not have had to learn it from wherever he learned it from. Now, that name may be familiar to you guys, as Merchant earlier this year revealed Fani Willis's relationship with special prosecutor Nathan Wade and kicked off the disqualification case against the Fulton County DA. You see, I'm starting to see a pattern among Fulton County officials here. You guys notice this too? As for this new motion to recuse Judge Glanville, people are saying he needs to be arrested and lose his license too, that he's a crooked crook and should be disbarred. What do y'all think about that? Things got even dicier when Judge Earl Glanville shared the full transcript of this secret meeting involving Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis's office and him in this YSL case. Judge Earl Glanville shared the full transcript on Monday after making the surprise announcement that proceedings in the case would be put on hold indefinitely until an outside judge reviews the motions for his recusal. Now, I personally want to hear you guys' thoughts on this, guys. Do you feel like Fani Willis and Nathan Wade are up to a little something here? And what does it say about her as a DA who's trying to go after former President Donald Trump? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. We will be sure to post a follow-up video once we gather more information on this. And while you guys are looking forward to that, I have another video that you guys can sink your teeth into right now. This one is about the recent Trump rally where there seemed to be a second attempt on former President Donald Trump's life. For real, guys, you got to check this out and see it for yourself. Make sure to click on the channel, click on videos, watch that video out right after this one. And as always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the video. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for liking the video and subscribing, and I'll see you on the next one.